Hello, everyone, and welcome into the Offseason podcast in studio this week. I got myself, Brodie, Trevor, and then Konner will be joining us here in a minute. Y'all seem to really like the first episode, so I'm super excited to carry this on the rest of the offseason. Thank you all to everyone who submitted new stories, new topics, all of that fun stuff. You can find that link in the description down below if you want to hear your story, your crazy disc golf experience here on air, or if you have a topic you want us to go over, anything like that. Then go ahead and submit through there. How was y'all's weeks, guys? Any fun disc golf happen? I know Brodie had a great time at the Battle of Bedford.
I was forced to play a disc golf.
I don't know if forced.
Felt forced at times.
What was the average round length for you out there?
I think 4 hours and 15 minutes.
That's pretty.
What's the average round length on the Pro Tour?
Not that.
Well, what is it, like 3 hours 40?
It might be just over 3.
Is that quick, huh?
Yeah, but it definitely doesn't feel as long because the courses are longer, so you're throwing more shots.
More shots than New London?
Maybe not new. Well, again, it depends.
I mean, both of these courses were like 11,000 feet.
If you're playing with people that are shooting like 10, 15 over par, then yeah, you're throwing more shots there.
Yeah.
But you know what I'm saying? There's a difference between like the pace of play sometimes of where that was my first time playing off tour in a while, and you forget how slow it is, and everyone talks about that.
I was warning people before they went off. I was just like,
yeah,
heads up, it's gonna be.
Pace of play is a problem. We don't need to go into that. It's a problem everywhere. But I've heard at courses that shouldn't have like pace of play issues, when you play in like B and C tier, there's always waiting, and I think that's a big issue for disc golf tournaments, is because you get people playing their first tournament and they're like, I'm waiting as long as I'm playing. Yeah. I'm not doing this ever
Disc golf
again.
tournaments would be a lot more fun if you could roll up to like a par 3 course C tier, a two round 1 day situation, and know that each round's going to take just under 2 hours.
Oh,
and you could play like 8 to 10, 1 hour lunch, 12 to 1:30. You're out of there.
Yeah, would you guys play in more tournaments if it was like an hour and a half?
No,
probably not.
You still wouldn't play?
It's on the weekends.
Well, I mean, if it was a 1 round and I knew it was only gonna, if it was like a par 3 course, I knew I was gonna roll out there for 2 hours in the morning and be out of there. Probably yes, actually. That would be something I'd be like, okay, it's just gonna be a 2 hour thing.
You're there
because right now, if I say I have a disc golf tournament on a weekend day, which is never, but if I do, it's like that's a day commitment.
Yeah,
because a lot of times it is 2 rounds 1 day situation.
Yeah, because it's 2 rounds 1 day, starts at 9. You're done by 12 round 1, 12 to 1 lunch break, 1 to 4, and then people won't do awards till like 5:30.
Yeah, it's a whole day affair.
It's a whole day.
Yeah,
it's always been a whole day.
That's why flex starts are goated. Flex starts are goated because especially if you can find yourself in the right pack of people and in the right time slot, you can play flex starts really fast. Yeah. The last tournament, we played a flex start at Falling Creek, like in like a hailstorm basically, and we still played it so fast because like we were all fast and there was nobody around our tee time.
Yeah, I would say the key with flex starts is you can pick a tee time where there's no one near you, and then you just play as fast, and you and your buddies, and so like you can play as fast as you want.
Flex starts rock.
So you can play a flex start. I will say I was the TD this weekend at Falling Creek on the first day, Falling Creek Reds. First card out took them an hour and 42 minutes to play there. It was a foursome.
That's pretty baller.
They finished Falling Creek Reds at hour 42 minutes. The average round length might have been 2.5 hours max. I was out of there by like 3:30 that day.
Yeah.
And my last group went off at 1 something, and yeah, I was home by like 4:15. It's a 30-minute drive home, and that's the TD. So I had to wait after to answer any questions. So I was the last one to leave the course, and I was home by like 4 something.
I think the issue too with tournament play a lot of times is just like how much slower it is than just casual play. Like it is drastically. If you play a casual game of basketball versus like a official game of basketball, the time isn't that much different.
You got a clock.
But if you're playing a casual round, like we went out and us 4 went out and played Falling Creek Reds. We probably played in about like an hour and a half.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And then if you go out there and it's a tournament and it's like taking you 2.5 hours, that's going to feel that extra hour is going to feel
also
terrible.
People playing slower in the tournaments is probably also a big factor of why people play worse in tournaments.
Could be.
Because like you're
they
used
take
to just
way more time
step up, just let it, rip it because you don't care. And then in the tournament, out of nowhere, you do something you never do, which is like you care about every shot and you think slowing down is going to make me better. And then you overthink it and then you play way worse.
Well, and then the other guys in the cart like sit behind a shot that might be a really simple one for like 10 minutes. And they're just like overthinking it the entire time. Like, well, it's just a backhand hyzer from 200 feet, but like, I guess I could throw the forehand.
Yeah. Well, the worst, like I've had,
wind I just felt.
I've had like 20 footers where like people are putting on my card and like everyone on my card's like, 40, 50, 60 feet. And then I'm at like 20 feet. I might be putting for an 8, so it doesn't matter what I'm putting, but I'll have that 20 footer, but then I have to watch all 3 of them putt. And then sometimes they'll have a roll away. So like one guy might have to putt 2 or 3 times. And next thing you know, I've been staring at this 20 footer for like 10 minutes. And an easy little tap out 20 footer, what it should be, out of nowhere I step up and I'm like, I've been thinking about this putt for too long.
Yeah, we had one of those moments on hole 12 yesterday where we were all inside the circle and I was the last to putt, and it was clank, 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 and then I stepped up to my 18-footer, clank, and I was like, "That's a putting display."
That's a drum line right there.
I was like, "Guys, that was impressive stuff we just did there." Yeah,
it happens in tournaments.
Yeah.
All right, well, let's get into the first story of the episode. This was submitted anonymously. I don't know why, but
I like those more though.
Yeah, well, but I feel like anonymous.
I'm more excited if it's anonymous.
Anonymous, it makes me feel like it should be something that's like, oh, I see why you don't want your name tied to that. I don't understand this one, but anyways, this is a funny story. Said I first started playing disc golf 3.5 years ago. I've been playing consistently. I've been continually chasing my first ace. And just counting cage and band hits, I'm up to 20 plus medal hits, not including my 4 chain outs on ace runs.
Wow.
I haven't been playing mini pitch and putt because I want my first ace to happen naturally. My dad and I started playing at the same time, but he just recently started consistently playing. He has been worried he'd get an ace before me because he knows how close I've been. 2 weeks ago, he and I were playing our home course that we play all the time. We came to a short but very technical hole. It's roughly 200 feet, but is slightly elevated and has 2 tiny gaps to choose between. We were playing through someone else, so I was messing with my bag as my dad threw, and next thing I hear them saying, "Go in, go in." I immediately sprung my head up and hear the most beautiful sound of the chains and see them going nuts. My dad had just aced. Both our reactions were mixed with happiness and confusion as to how he hit an ace before I did. Fast forward a few days, and I'm playing around on the other course at that property with my dad. I come to a hole I've been inches from acing countless times. It's an uphill 280-foot hole that slightly bends left. I released my disc on the perfect line, and I knew it was going to be close. All of a sudden, we hear that beautiful sound again. Only this time, we run up to the basket and see my disc had spit straight through the heart of the chains and is laying on the ground.
Tough.
Disc golf can be a cruel game sometimes.
Tough. I got to say, I did not... it took me a long time to get an ace, but I did not... Like, I was not hitting metal.
No,
either.
I wasn't either.
It wasn't like I was like, oh my gosh, I've hit bandit. Actually, the closest thing I got to an ace... This is funny. The closest thing I got to an ace before getting an ace was... I threw my DX Gazelle, and it was on a hole that this is hole 12 at Gifford Pinchot State Park, I believe. Is it? Yeah, something like that. 11 or 12. And basically, it's a dogleg right, and there's a Mando on the right side, so it's like a corner, basically. And I threw a backhand. I don't even know why. I guess it's before I threw forehands. It was pretty early on. And I cut the corner. I missed the Mando and then hit it right into the cage. And that was the closest I had gotten to even throwing it in the basket in one before actually getting an ace. I didn't have chain outs, close calls.
What would you do in that situation? So you had an ace at this point, right?
Yeah.
So you missed the Mando
I thought
and you
about
aced.
it.
What, like, do you claim it's an ace?
What?
You're in a casual round.
No. And there was witnesses.
No.
And also, like...
That's just a tough one.
Well, like, it was the type of thing where since I was so new to disc golf, I was just really excited that, like, something like that happened. So I was even, like, telling people about it. Like I told people I missed the Mando, but I was like, yeah. And, like, I think I was playing with my dad and my brother, and, like, so we were all just kind of like, that was crazy because none of us had done anything like that before yet. This is really early on. But... yeah, no, I mean, I don't think I would have claimed it.
I remember.
I don't know though. If there was nobody out there, like I might have been.
Just say I
might have been like,
12.
yeah, I aced hole 12 with a 1-stroke penalty. Like,
Well, no, yeah, you don't have to sell anyone. You missed the Mando. I aced hole 12.
Do you guys ever see that that account that does does like disc golf rule abuse basically, where he'll be like, usually he leaves out one gray area in the rule book, but he does something. There's golf accounts that do this too, where they'll do something and then basically act like it's a way to hack the rules.
Yeah, it's like, oh, you just get a 2-stroke misplay penalty,
right.
so boom.
The one that he did recently was he foot faulted by like skipping his way mid-throw all the way to the basket and then throwing it in and being like, well, I foot faulted, but so it's a 1-stroke penalty, but it's in the basket. Like, so that was his claim.
Yeah, there's no way.
It'd have to be a misplay.
That'd be a misplay and a rethrow.
But how? It's just foot fault.
Well, technically, it wouldn't be a practice throw.
What do you mean?
Because like he's so far up there.
But he's football.
Well, let's look at the football rule.
His foot.
Let's look at the football rule.
Yeah.
Surely the PDGA's thought of that.
I have a bad take about aces.
What's your bad take?
I don't care about them anymore unless they're in tournaments.
Well, it's no shocker that Brodie Smith, the frisbee trick shot guy,
Yeah, that's
doesn't care about aces.
No, it's just I think I've only had one in a tournament. It was actually at Fallen Creek.
I've never had a tournament ace.
It was at Fallen Creek. I actually completely forgot. I was about to say I've had none, but then you said Fallen Creek, and that just popped in my head.
What hole did you ace at Fallen Creek?
The one, so like that little short hole that you throw over the creek.
Yeah, 9.
The next one,
10.
where it's just wide open in the field.
Is it forehand or a backhand? Was it red or it was red?
I think my clear get freaky zone, but I don't remember what it was, a forehand or backhand. I don't remember.
It was probably a forehand.
Went just straight.
Okay.
So it might have been a forehand. I'm not
This
sure.
is interesting. So here's the stance rule, which is where football comes from.
Uh-huh.
If the lie has been marked by a marker disc, then when the disc is released, the player must have at least one supporting point that is in contact with the lie and have no supporting point closer to the target than the rear edge of the marker disc and have all supporting points inbounds. A player who violates 802.07A or B, which is like the B is just a drop zone one, has committed a stance violation and receives a one penalty throw.
So it sounds like you can get a 2 every single hole if you just do a little hoppity skippity on during your run up.
But like I think that's got to bring in just like a misplay rule or something.
I hope so. Let's read on the misplay maybe.
While you're looking that up, second thing about aces, the group I play with out of Dallas has a really cool double ace patch.
I have the patch. I have not been able to use it.
Oh, here we go. Misplay has occurred if the player either has failed to complete every hole or on the course correctly and in the proper order, or has played from an incorrect lie for any throw. A player who deliberately misplays the course to gain competitive advantage may be disqualified.
Yeah, love that.
So you
Disqualified. You're gone.
Disqualification.
Yeah, you get the 888.
Incorrect lie, one penalty throw for the misplay. If an additional throw has been made after the misplayed throw, the player continues to play and receives 2 penalty throws for the misplay.
Take that, rules guy on TikTok. I still love those accounts though because
they are funny.
They require us to like actually learn the rules better because I've seen golf ones too where you're like, now wait a second, that just might work.
Yeah, it's like there's no way that's real.
Yeah.
It's like if you go off of just the foot fault rule, sure, but then you got to use a different rule to interpret that.
Got to
rule.
do that.
When Peaksview Park was like it's like the Ace Park here basically, and it's gotten harder over the years. Still isn't a hard course, but the two like big things that I remember when they changed, one was for league on what is hole 5. For league, we always played mandatory left of that tree that there's now a mando on, but that wasn't a course rule. Mm-hmm. So like if you were playing casually, there was no mando.
Yeah.
Everyone, because at this time the woods were smaller, the trees have obviously grown up and stuff over years. Everyone just threw a big hyzer over the pavilion. And so,
that's crazy.
Everyone, that was just the line.
What?
You just stepped up. There's no OB. The sidewalk and beyond wasn't OB
I can't
anywhere.
Even think of that line.
And so you just ripped a hyzer over the pavilion. That's what
the
everyone
bridge
threw.
hole?
Yeah.
That's wild.
You would just throw the hyzer over the pavilion. It crashed in. You were parked every time. It was like the most cheater way.
I want to try that.
So when they put the mandatory in, people just refused. Because it was like, well, I've been playing this for years. Why would I all of a sudden now have to go down the middle? I never got to
change my strategy.
And the same thing happened on hole 16. There was no mando, and the mandatory for league was like 3 holes forward the mandatory for league might have been closer. It was on a different tree than where the mando ended up being, but in casual play there was no mando.
Right.
So there used to be this like sneaky backhand hyzer gap. So people would refuse to, or it was also a thumber gap, which Peaksview was like the home of, you just throw thumbers around that course. And so people would always just kind of chuck to the right and just throw this thumber and get you right by the basket. And then they put a mando in. It was the same thing where locals were just like,
I
no.
love the idea of people just revolting against
But then
mandos.
the tough part of hole
like, I'm not gonna do
16 was where they put the mando in leagues, you could sneak right by the tree and still play the hyzer. Like you could like throw like almost flat and then it hyzer. You just had to beat this one tree. And when they were communicating with the park put it a few trees too far forward. So it took away that hyzer line completely. So then the locals who were like knew that
they're outraged.
Were even more upset because like, well, at least before we all agreed to where the mando was going to go, I could still throw my hyzer line. Now I have to go Anheuser. It was hilarious.
People
Now
don't
it's just
like-
been accepted and people just
don't
do
like
it.
Anheisers, man.
But yeah, the most criminal one was hole 5, taking away my Heiser line. That was brutal.
Should I
That's
go?
for safety, but-
I haven't had one in a while, and it's brewing. Should I hold off on it for tour life, or should I go on my ratings rant now?
You should probably hold off.
Probably
Tour
hold
Life.
off.
Okay.
This is more of a fun podcast.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah.
All right.
I feel like Tour Life's a better spot. for
Okay.
that.
You know, I talked to the inventor.
Although
Just
you're-
want to say
I will-
it's brewing.
Not to get into it, but your tweet was just an awful take.
It's not.
That was an awful take.
It's
Did
not.
you see his tweet?
You don't
He
understand the
said,
difference between slope
we're not
and
gonna
rating.
get we're not gonna get into it.
I'll just
No, we're
absorb
gonna
it.
get into it.
absorb
Just
it.
You
say
can
it.
just watch my face.
No.
I'll
If you
just
say
absorb
it-
I'm not
it.
going to respond beyond what I'm about to tell you.
I won't respond
Okay.
either. Just my face.
He said that off-tour ratings are inflated by over at least 30 points. That's just criminal.
Just to be clear, I don't think you guys have to respond in order for Brodie to keep.
All I'm gonna say is
No, that's fine. He can.
I don't want to.
Haven't you seen the ones where it's just him on tour life?
Here's the thing. I don't want to say any slander, but just look up Manobu and see what he did on tour. Highest rated player in the
He also
world.
My
plays
res-
in Japan.
My response to your tweet still stands true for Manabu.
Is
Manabu used
is
to play
in Japan on tour or off tour?
That is
Here's-
a very different.
I'm about to bring up this next
Is it
topic.
on tour or off tour?
Okay, so is it
No,
off
no,
tour
no, no, no,
Japan?
no, no, no. Hold up, Trevor. Don't respond yet. He got his rating on tour.
Delusion.
He used to come over and play a bunch.
He was 1050
When you
on
have
tour?
someone, he wasn't 1050, but when you have someone high rated enter into a low rated field, it is
Don't-
easier
don't-
for that person to
don't
rate
try,
high.
Okay, there's.
But if you have a low rated person in a
All I'm
low
gonna
rated field,
say-
you can't rate high. It's physically impossible.
All I'm gonna say is yes, there are.
So
different,
Manabu's an awful one because
there
he was
is-
1020 rated and went to a 930 rated field. Of
There
course
is
he's gonna kill him.
there is different scenarios.
You can't experience it
The
because
si-
you're too high rated.
The scenario that doesn't exist. No, I'm literally saying the ratings that I got this past weekend should be way lower than actually what they were.
I'm saying you're the one that made those higher. You and Chris Dickerson made those ratings higher.
that also
That's
may
just
or may
the
not
truth.
be. But my point where I'm going to go in is the
You
difference
tour players
between
made the
slope-
ratings higher.
The difference between slope and rating. That is something that disc golf never has, and they need to have it figured out.
Travis Whitehead said, would the
I know,
DGPT...
but that's why ratings suck.
Travis Whitehead said, would the DGPT actually get better if a live tour started in the disc golf world? A little competition might be good for them. Imagine if Innova ran 5 to 7 events a
Yes.
year, just like USDGC. The Pro Tour would have to step up mightily.
I think it is very scary that disc golf only has one tour.
What does that mean though?
People,
Step up.
People
Like they'd have to step up to the standard. Like he said, if Innova
It
ran
pushes-
5 to
They
7
have to
events,
lose more money.
if Innova ran 5 to 7
my
events
gosh.
like USDGC,
They would have to lose more money, is what you're saying now.
or they would lose to the tour, other tours.
Yeah.
No, I'm
that-
saying the disc golf pro tour needs to step up by spending more money and thus losing.
In this
They're not
scenario,
making money.
I know. In this scenario, this person's saying if this other tour
Right.
existed
Yep.
and was put out a better product,
Yeah.
the Pro Tour would have to
The best thing
put up
for-
an equivalent product or get left behind.
the best thing for a young sport is to have the best thing for a young sport is to not just have all your eggs in one basket, because then if that thing fails, what the heck do you do? If you look at a lot of successful sports, basketball, football, they've had young competing leagues in their infancy, and best man wins, and you absorb the other, and
Didn't
then
that already happen though? Didn't the
Yeah, with the
national
national
tour
tour
existed
and
and
the
it
world
not went
tour.
away?
but our sport is still so young.
I
know.
agree with Brodie in this.
I would
think
rather
the
there
thing-
be more tours, because
think
it's
a
not
second
going to
tour
hurt
would kill-
anything.
a
But the
second
pro
tour would kill
tour
disc
is
golf.
doing well. Like what I don't know
Not
what
if it's
they're
well funded.
I don't know what they're like. My thing is this: is if something is making a lot of money or something has potential to make a lot of money, there are investors, there are people that will get into it and be like, "Let's freaking go." That's not disc golf though. Like the Pro Tour is not making money. They've come out and said that multiple times. They are in the hole. That's why they're cutting people
So
back.
if it's a failed product, I would not hate it if another millionaire stepped up and said, "We're going to try and redo it,"
Billionaire.
or whatever. Like I'm just saying, like that. I would
Billion.
not. As somebody who just consumes disc golf, I want the strongest product to win, and therefore
I think it would kill it. I think if another tour started, it would kill
what?
the Pro Tour, the pro scene, because then you would
We're not-
split.
You
You would
split
pros.
people. You
Not
split
no,
people.
split pros.
no. If one came about and it was just if there was way more money, it was significantly better. It would just take over.
But way more money.
Remember when the Pro Tour isolated Jomez back in 2016?
And two players didn't play.
The two big faces of the sport decided
Germ
they were
and
gonna-
Sexton.
Sexton won USDGC in 2017. Big Germ won in 2016. They were faces of the sport at that time.
but it did not kill the sport.
No,
Two guys
but-
not
but-
playing.
But I'm
again-
saying you had two big guys, two big faces of the sport say, I'm not going to play because of this.
so be it.
Can I
So if
throw,
you have money in,
Somebody take their place.
Let me throw a scenario. So someone does what Trevor says. Okay, some person has a lot of
Competition is good. People do not succeed without
someone has a
competition.
lot of money. Okay, they start their own tour and they're like, you know what we're gonna do? We're gonna start making every winner gets $50,000. Okay, so now this tour exists. Okay, after a year that this tour exists, they now, because they're putting these crazy payouts out and they're not making that money, they just lost $250,000. Let's say they thought it was going to be really well and they thought it was going to take off. It doesn't, and that person's like, I lost money, it didn't work, I'm out. They now have killed the Disc Golf Pro Tour, and this person just leaves. Now we're left with nothing.
No, the
Exactly.
Pro Tour would absorb their assets, and then that would be that's how these mergers end up happening. They ended with mergers. They don't end with one person just saying,
What
"We're
assets
leaving."
are they
Whatever
absorbing?
whatever
Their
whatever
camera
staff they
equipment?
have,
but the whole
experience. Like,
problem
that's
is,
how these happen.
the whole problem is in those 4 years, the Pro Tour has now burned through money. What if the Pro Tour is now like, okay,
I'm
we're
only
out,
telling you-
and then the next year, this guy's like, you know what, we're out too, and now we're back to the PDGA National Tour, and players are back living in their vans. That's the real situation.
All
Yeah,
I'm saying
that's
is,
what I'm saying
all
is,
I'm saying
like,
is there's a reason why
Disc golf's too
competition fuels success.
in big sports, absolutely.
No, in life, just in
but I'm
scenarios
saying
in life.
but disc golf,
If you
is-
have no competition, you're not motivated.
but you have to have something to win.
Correct.
If what
There-
you win
there
is
has-
peanuts and a high five,
There has to
it doesn't
be
matter.
there has to be competition where like you can make competition and make things better, but when it's like a super small sport, if you have a bunch of things competing for a very small niche, let's just throw it out there, like disc manufacturers, disc retailers. There you go, perfect example. COVID happens, all these people are like, oh, I can make money being a disc retailer. How many of those companies still exist?
and look what's happening. House of Discs is buying them.
They're not buying
No,
retailers.
they're not
They
buying
bought a single
retailers.
retailer.
Okay, they're buying manufacturers. Similar example where manufacturers overgrew, some of them failed, they're getting bought. That is what happens at the end of this competition. It's not people just fizzle out and die.
There has to
the
be
better
someone to
person
buy
absorbs.
it. If both are getting killed,
No, in this case, it wouldn't be a buy. It would be a merger. When you have a failure of one league, they merge. There is a period of time that is weird. Think about when the USFL first came about and the NFL had to compete against it. They were losing players. They were losing some of their viewers. It's weird, but out of that stage, out of that weird awkwardness, came a much better, more sophisticated league.
the only issue that
And yeah, you could argue that the national tour was that merger. I'm just saying, to me,
we had the National Tour, the World Tour, and the Pro Tour.
yeah, no, you could argue that has happened enough. I just think it's a little bit like frightening that all of our eggs are in one basket already in the sport. I don't know. I feel like it might be. I would not hate it personally if somebody decided they were going to try and do something else with the disc golf tour. And I don't think it's because the Pro Tour does a bad job. I just think because it's interesting.
the only issue I have with that is you're having like a couple thousand people watch live disc golf.
Yeah.
Now, like that is not something that's like we should fracture that. If anything, right now, I agree with you. I think at a certain point in time, yes, competition makes sense. But right now, fracturing the views of live, I don't feel as a player, I don't feel like going to tournaments and being like, holy cow, these payouts are super low. The Disc Golf Pro Tour is pocketing all this money. I don't feel that way. And so I'm not like, we need another Pro Tour that's going to pay us what we should be getting paid. The problem is the money is in the manufacturing and the money's not in the tournaments right now. And that is due to views, the viewership. The viewership
Maybe
is
a
just
new
not
tour has
there.
a way better marketing strategy.
That could be
Like
that could be something.
what
for
if
sure.
a new tour emerged and their marketing and everything that they were putting onto their social media and everything was so state of the art? It was so much better than anything we've ever had in disc golf. Would you not get excited about that if you saw them bringing all these packages to social media? And
I just know it
marketing?
could kill us. I know it could kill the sport.
It can't kill the sport.
It could
There
kill
is
the pro
so
scene.
many
It could
people.
absolutely kill the pro scene.
You're not going to have hundreds
There's
of
not
players who
enough
make a
disc
living playing
golfers.
disc golf that aren't going to that are just going to walk away. Like Brodie just said, the money is in the manufacturing.
I'm
The-
just saying
the money
there's-
isn't just going to.
There's not enough people on the fan side that care about the pro scene to be split right now.
So I saw
Football, basketball, we're talking millions and millions of people in billions of dollar industries.
Not-
We're talking,
it wasn't back then.
We're talking hopefully $1 million in disc golf. on the disc golf
I
network.
saw this happen.
The point is for one of
Ultimate.
them to die and then get absorbed by the other.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is one of them could die to be
fracture-
absorbed by a less profitable company that's putting more money out there, and then that company dies.
Well, right
And
now,
where we're at.
the Pro Tour is already not profitable.
That's what I'm saying.
we
If
bring
the
back-
Pro Tour is
well,
profitable,
it sounds like we should be back to square one.
if the Pro Tour is profitable, I'm all in. Sure. Let's do it. Let's have some competition because now there's money that we're fighting over.
Well, if
they're
they're
fighting over nothing. They're fighting over who can lose more. If you're fighting over who can lose
Because
more, someone's going to lose.
That's
that's
what
not
happened-
necessarily true if the other company runs their company different.
That's what happened in Ultimate, though. So Ultimate, they started the AUDL, and then there was some hype and
Lacrosse
buzz.
is another great example. Guess what happened in lacrosse? The PLL came. They changed the entire model of professional lacrosse. They didn't just say we're going to make another
Lacrosse
lacrosse
is so
league.
much bigger.
No,
We're using
on
massive
No. That's not true. Major League Lacrosse players were making pennies. They were making pennies. They're making
Okay.
less than professional
It's a-
disc
does
golfers.
it- there's
But
more
They had
lacrosse
no.
players.
They had
But-
no viewership.
There's much more lacrosse
But
players.
to be a high school,
Matter.
to be
No, the
That's
pro
all that
scene
matters.
was tiny. They had no money. You're not listening. PLL changed the model of lacrosse. They changed the whole way it was marketed, everything about it. What did they do? A few years
But
later,
they're
they
marketing
bought
to
MLL.
a bigger pool.
with a lot more money. Like that, like to be a high school
doesn't change
lacrosse
that it
player,
wasn't
you have
converting.
to spend like $350.
It doesn't change the fact-
Sure, but it has to convert on something.
So I'm just saying,
we don't
if
have as
a
many
new-
players as lacrosse.
Let's say a new disc golf company. Okay, you agree with this. There's only a few thousand people watching live disc golf. There are 100,000 people watching disc golf on YouTube.
Yeah.
Okay, so there's a missed conversion. So let's say the new company comes in. They get 150% more live viewers to join because
So there were 10,000 people.
okay, and then they absorb the Pro Tour. That can happen in our sport. That's not impossible because the Disc Golf Pro Tour is not converting as well as they could. That's the point.
I just don't think there's money at the end.
Maybe not. All I'm saying is
I think
it's possible. It happens in every sport
My
all the
opinion
time.
is a live golf at this current moment would kill the sport. Patrick Kane
Okay.
said, that's
Well,
my
do
opinion.
we
It
think-
might. It might.
That's my
Do we
opinion.
think
I don't
Live
want to
Golf-
risk it.
It's
Do we think
open-ended.
Live Golf helped golf?
Yes. Yes.
I don't think so.
Absolutely, it helped golf.
I mean,
long term, it's tough to see.
It kind of sucks that those guys aren't playing in PGA Tour events.
But it's making people talk about golf. People are going to live golf events. It's changing the way that PGA Tour has to think about their golf events because now they realize they need to change their model a little bit to adapt to what Live Tour was able to take from them. That is how these things grow.
I don't care, but like live golf, I think that's great for golf because it's a millions and millions and millions of dollar industry, and now you're making someone who has the money to change. Disc golf doesn't have the money to change.
It's not as much about the money as it is about changing the way they think
their
about
businesses.
their business.
It's all about the money.
Yes, but
Patrick
the money
Kane
has to
said,
start
"Do you
with
think
something
the
else."
Pro
Well,
Tour-
you're going to cut me off, and that's not very.
Well, I mean, we're going in circles.
Okay.
I'll let you make your final point.
No, I was just saying, like the money, yes, is the root of the businesses, but you have to change the way you think about business in order to make the money. You can't just say we got to wait for there to be money to make changes because the money's not there.
Patrick Kane said, "Do you think the Pro Tour should hold a bidding war with all manufacturers to supply the tour with standardized baskets?
Yes.
If they did, who would win and how much would they bid?" How
That's
much would they
actually-
bid is a fascinating question because I don't know what that's worth.
I have no idea what that's worth.
Innova or Discraft?
I actually think it's more trouble than it's worth.
It's like one of the craziest things in the world to me that there aren't like standard baskets.
It is pretty crazy at this
I
point.
think Innova or Discraft would win, but I don't know what it's worth.
in a bidding war,
Well, like, I think
See,
I don't know.
it's-
I don't know how much it would be a bidding war versus like.
I don't think it's worth that much.
Well, yeah, it only depends
Like,
on
what are the
company values
basket?
it.
Like, what are the basketball hoops in basketball?
Spalding.
What are the field goal posts in football?
Well, I don't know if that's necessarily Spalding. It's because they're trying to sell to the end consumer, which would be the goal here.
They're trying to sell
Spalding basketballs?
basketball hoops.
Yeah, to high schools.
Wouldn't that be the same thing for field goal posts? They're trying to sell field goal posts to high schools.
It's a little bit tougher.
That's a
to
little
sell.
bit, yeah.
Well,
Lot
basketball hoop, you can buy one. for your-
I wanted to play with the Spaldings
you can-
as the official basketball.
Different
NBA.
Well, official
Basketball.
basketball. Yes.
Yeah, I think they're both Spalding. I don't know. I could be wrong with the basketball.
What I'm saying though is like if the basketball was Spalding and the basketball hoop was some random company,
No, that wouldn't matter.
that wouldn't matter. And that's what I'm saying is I don't know. The baskets
Baskets are a
maybe
lot more
little bit
accessible,
though
though.
because they catch different.
Well,
Yeah.
but also, I mean, the basket, if that became like the gold standard, then like if you're putting in a course and you want it to be on the Pro Tour, you're gonna put Innova disc catchers if that's the basket of the Pro Tour.
Or if you're buying a practice basket,
Like you're not
you might
building
wanna
a
get one
basketball
that's the
arena
same
and hoping
company.
it becomes an NBA arena.
You're definitely influenced.
I mean, you can
people to
also
buy a
change
basket more.
baskets out really easily. It's because to me, it's like the marketing of it, right? Is like the band, right? That is where you put the marketing.
Oh, Wilson's the official basketball of the NBA.
They changed it. That's right.
And I feel like you can have
like they just changed that a
any
year ago.
marketing go on the band, right? So
Yeah, really, if I was the Pro Tour, I'd probably just I'd probably just pick the basket with the thickest bands and just be selling that.
yeah,
that
I don't
wrap.
think it goes either way. I don't think the Pro Tour,
the Pro Tour,
can make
They're
someone
definitely going to standardize
The Pro
it.
Tour has said that they're trying to make their own basket.
No, I know. What,
That would be crazy.
What I'm saying is I don't think they can sell the rights to be the official basket of the Pro Tour. I don't think that makes sense.
Well, they definitely
and
could.
I also don't think they could, but I don't think it makes sense. What I'm saying is like the marketing around the band is where you want to sell. And I think LL Bean or God, I'm blanking on what's the shaving cream company? Barbasol. I think those companies are willing to pay money to have their branding around the basket.
You could have both.
I just don't think like, hey, to be the official basket of the Pro Tour, you need to spend $50,000.
Well,
No, it might be 10 or it might be 30.
I just think it makes sense for them to just either come up with their own basket or just find someone that's willing to give them the baskets.
Wilson's paying about $30 million annually to be the official basketball of the NBA.
It's actually not as bad as I thought.
But like the official basketball, the official football, those things matter. Like if the
I
Pro
think it
Tour was
matters.
the official disc, that would be really expensive.
Yeah,
if we could only throw Discraft, if we could only throw Innova, that would be a crazy expensive thing.
I think it's.
The
I think
basket
it's more like,
is different.
It's
the
more
same
of
as
a
T-pad.
It's more of a win-win thing where it's like
The official
it
T-pad
takes away the whole playing on different baskets thing, which is silly, and it's just an easy sale because like it would be an incredibly easy sale.
Yeah,
Companies would bid on it. Like
yeah.
they
As
for
I'm
sure
saying, is
would.
like you can't be the like.
But no one. What I'm saying is like the majority of people that buy basketball hoops are not going.
It's not,
what-
but
That's not on.
Yeah,
that's not for us to
the
decide.
Pro
That's
Tour-
for Discraft Innova to
Yeah,
decide
the
if
Pro
it's a
Tour
worthy
doesn't
investment.
care. They don't care about that part. It's the companies, and I'm telling you, they would. bid.
Discraft or Innova, they would. I could easily see someone bidding 50, 40 grand for it.
I could see it. That's just how they. That's just what they do.
I know, but
they pay.
I'm telling from them, I don't think it's worth that
I mean,
money.
Zuka
Let me
pays
let you in on an
crazy
insight.
money for that big old thing.
Let me
with
let you
Uli
in on
the
an
side of
insight.
it.
Okay, no one that's spending money advertising the Pro Tour right now is worth the money they're spending.
Because like,
Let me let you in on that insight.
Very
Who's
correct.
still doing it?
who's buying like massive baskets in their backyard and stuff? Like
But people do.
Yeah, a lot.
Like they buy a $350, $400 basket.
I'm probably going to.
Yeah, a lot of people do.
A lot of people.
Yeah.
Because it'll last
It's like,
you forever.
We're talking about like tens of thousands of people.
Well, no, it's disc golf, but thousands of people.
But you could.
Maybe it does thousands. I mean, the most premium. Here's the thing about disc golf is the most premium item you can buy basically is like the big expensive basket, and it's not that expensive in the grand scheme of hobbies.
I could be in the minority here, but when it came to a basketball hoop and I was like, I want to have a basketball hoop to shoot on at my house.
Yeah.
I wasn't looking at what's the official basketball hoop that the NBA uses.
Because it's
you're
a way
not
bigger,
target demographic.
bigger scale though.
I need
It's
a
way
brand.
bigger
I know, and
scale.
I need a brand of that.
You're not the target demographic.
What?
Yeah, you're just a
You're
guy
not
that
the
doesn't really
target
care.
demographic.
You don't even
Kids
care about
aren't the
brands.
No, you
Me.
as a like your personality isn't the target demographic. I know guys that were.
I would love to see the comments here because it's like how many people
I
would
went
be
to high school
influenced
with
to buy a
guys
basket
a lot.
because it's the
But also-
official
I went to high school with guys that
versus
like
just a $150, $125 basket that's
if
going to work.
LeBron James wore a different shoe and like he had his shoe and then he wore a different version the next game, there were guys in my high school that were like, well, I have to go buy that shoe now.
Yeah, no, I was like that too.
But
with
also the course
certain things.
installation, I think, is a big one too. Because if you,
I could see that.
if you're able to swing, okay, let's say
I could see that
it
we're
costs
putting in
about,
courses.
It costs about $6.5 grand for 18 disc catchers right now. Okay, so that means if you convert 20 courses,
It's gotta be more than that.
No, I just looked it up recently to price it out for a guy. If
For the
you-
like top end ones? They're like
yeah,
350
for the
or 400.
permanent. If you buy 18, you get them for $6,500. It's like
Wow.
a discount for 18. Yeah, it's like $3,500 for 9.
Disc golf's cheap, man.
Yes. So if you swing 20 courses during the course of that entire season to change their decision, you've just made 30 grand potentially.
Yeah, I can.
Someone might pay $100,000 for
I
that.
could
it
see
could be very
I
valuable.
could see it for courses. That makes sense. I was just looking at more if I just get into disc golf and I want to get better at disc golf.
Well, here's something from my experience.
Putting on different baskets doesn't really
the basket
change.
I want is the Innova Disc Catcher Pro. I'd love to have that basket. Why? Because it's a basket I played on growing up, and therefore it's the one that I'm the most familiar with.
Sure.
So I could see there being a connection of like people see that one on TV, they see that as the pro one, and it's achievable.
What if I come out with a training basket and I'm like, hey, putt on this, you'll get better at putting.
Like the
I know I
marksman?
can't get better.
Something like that, of where it's like,
know I
hey,
can't.
no, but think about how many golfers buy every single little
Oh, yeah.
thing.
Marksman
that's good.
sell.
Yeah,
So like
baskets
that's
sell.
the other thing is like I think that to me, I don't know. Maybe I'm in the minority here. I just think the majority of people, when they're like, I want to be able to putt in my backyard,
Well, do you
they're
think-
not going to say I need to putt on the basket that the
No,
pros
the
are-
majority,
the pro
you're
tour
the
are putting
majority,
on.
you're right.
It's more so the courses in disc golf.
I think
But
I think that's a good argument. The course is a good
do
argument.
you think the Pro Tour should standardize baskets?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so if
They
they're going to
just-
standardize baskets, why on earth wouldn't they sell it?
Of course they're going to sell it.
To me,
Why? If the Pro Tour,
The only,
don't worry about the manufacturer paying
ethics-
for it.
The only ethics concern
Why wouldn't
is
the
if
Pro
a
Tour?
company, if the highest bidder came from a basket that people hated. Like imagine if a company that
they deal with
had
that with
sucky
basketball
baskets-
though too. Like NBA players have complained about the basketball they've had to use.
Yeah.
Well, the thing is,
But like I'm
football-
talking about like okay.
if you know you're playing on T1s going into the season,
I'm not even talking about
every
T1s.
pro is
I'm
going
talking
to
about
practice
like
on T1s.
imagine if a company came along that was new to the market. Let's just throw an example, and it was like a Mach 3 or something. It was like something really like all the Pro Tour. Like they need to probably, and they probably would run into this problem, but they probably need to have like at least like an approval process of like, okay, highest bidder, but also we need to like be okay with that basket.
I don't know how much the basket matters.
Or maybe it's just not even a bidding thing. Maybe they just go to Innova first and they're like, "You're our first choice. How much are you willing to pay?" And then they go to Discraft next. You're our first choice. How much are you willing to pay? And then they just compare.
Yeah,
That
I
might
wouldn't
be the
think
move.
it'd be a public bid. I think I would just send an
Oh,
email to
yeah.
companies like, "This is what we're trying to do.
Right. What's your budget?
What's your price? What are you willing
Yeah.
to pay for this?"
Is there
and then if
any-
I get an email from Innova that says $60,000, I get an email from Discraft that says 50. I would email Discraft and be like, "Hey, just so you know, there's a bid in at 60 right now. Or is that something you're willing to beat, or should we go with the 60?" And then if Discraft's like 65, then you go back to email Innova, "Hey, there's a bid in at 60 right now. Is it something you're willing to beat?" You don't let it be like.
Yeah.
And then eventually someone's gonna be like, "No," you're like, "All right, Discraft 65."
I want
is the
to a
basketball
Facebook
hoop-
chat room.
Is the basketball hoop the only target in other sport, like big sports I can think of, where
Think you'd buy one?
it actually like matters what it is a little bit?
As far as a target,
Probably, yeah.
Well,
I'm
I
trying
would-
because
like
it
a
matters how it
soccer
catches,
soccer
yeah.
goal doesn't matter, right? Lacrosse goal doesn't matter.
Well, soccer
a golf
goal,
hole doesn't
soccer
matter.
goal matters for certain things. It all depends on how serious you're using it. Because like
What
soccer
does
goals,
soccer goal matter about?
well, soccer goals. Besides the dimensions, the biggest thing.
No,
would
you
be,
can't change the dimensions.
The biggest
dimensions
things
are
would
the
be
same.
like the shape of the post. If you were getting very technical, like a cheaper net might have square posts instead of rounded ones. For
Okay,
example.
and
Like,
so how the ball reacts to
right,
that.
like
Okay,
it all depends on how serious you are. But
Yeah.
yeah, like
but
like
for the
with
most part, it's
Basketball, I feel like is the most direct because if you hit the
backboard.
if you don't hit
no,
the
because
post,
certain backboards bounce
Yeah,
differently.
that's
Yeah.
the hoop in general.
the
Yeah.
rim.
The-
Yeah.
everything.
Backboard's
rim-
probably the most important because
Because I was saying, like in
that'll
soccer,
Yeah.
If
in
you're used to
soccer and
throwing a
hockey, if
layup
you're hitting
on-
the net, you're hitting the net.
If you're used to
Yes.
throwing a layup on a flimsy plastic backboard and you try throwing one of those bricks up on a
Yes.
glass one, that thing's going to half court.
Football,
I've been
there's-
there.
There's
No,
no,
yeah, it doesn't-
there's no
shouldn't matter.
target.
Yeah. No,
So
it-
like disc golf is like in a weird
It's
spot
niche.
of where it
It's
is
niche.
one of the few where the target
Matters
drastically from
Yeah.
target to target.
no, it's true. It's a weird one.
All right, here's a long one from Carrie. She said, "I know this is a hot take, but after 23 years in the sport, watching it evolve, and in the last 5 years, seeing an influx of players entering the pro side of the sport with explosive talent and the ability to tour and compete, it's time to address it. In format and in style, is the Pro World Championships actually as prestigious as it's weighted to be? I realize it's life-changing money and sponsorship opportunities for the player, but that's because of the way it was set up with manufacturers decades ago when there wasn't the player base, the outside sponsor money, or entities like the Disc Golf Pro Tour setting the bar year after year with what a championship title should pay out like. Worlds is being played mid-ish season on various styles of courses and don't always seem Worlds worthy. Allowing any pro, touring or not, to register and barely any international representation makes it seem like another weekend on the Pro Tour. Place it at the end of the season on a course that tests all the shots and abilities necessary to be a top pro. Have qualifying events including other majors, as well as hand-picked international events and certain Pro Tour events. Then, for Worlds, qualified players play 5 or 6 rounds with cuts. Make the players earn the title. They can't just show up, have a good weekend of disc golf, and become a world champ. The very best rise to the occasion and end their season with the most prestigious title. I realize this forces players to pick and choose where and when they play, possibly having to skip out events to rest up. But isn't the tour pretty much getting to that point now, backloading the season to the extent of exhaustion? This too is an issue and needs to be addressed, but I still feel Worlds needs to be at the end of the season with better structure and prestige.
That's a fair point. I think it is like a do something different or go home situation for Worlds, where now you have 3 other majors that will continue to grow. Well, one of them already being very big, but then 2 others that are continuing to grow. And the world title, for me and for the players, it's still a pretty big deal, but it will continue to lose a little bit of the sting. Just having 5 rounds doesn't quite. I think it is a scenario where it's like, okay, you need to decide what the identity is. Is it either going to be this standalone thing that we should have more build up for and like have it really earn that name, or is it just going to end up slowly sinking its way and leveling out with the other majors and just being a major that we call World Championships? That is kind of what the 2 scenarios are.
I still don't hate the idea because back in the day, Worlds was like your one chance at playing everyone. Like that was the tournament everyone showed up to. As field strength gets better and better, then it's a normal weekend. I don't hate the idea of, and the PDGA would never let this happen, I don't think, but the Pro Tour Championship becoming the World Championships. Because like, isn't MLB the title of the World Series, right?
Yeah.
And like NBA basketball players claim they're world champions.
We do love doing that in America.
Yeah, it's a very American thing to do.
It is very American.
But also we're including the PDGA Europe or the Pro Tour Europe now. To me, like make the stroke head start more aggressive, have that last all 4. So then you have to qualify for the World Championships at the end. The stroke head starts more aggressive, so it benefits the players who had a really good season. So it's a season-long accomplishment. And then you let it play out, and one of them's crowned the world champion. And then the tour champion is whoever had the most points.
Yeah, it probably your theory makes more sense, but you're right. Like it's the PDGA's baby. It's disc golf's baby. They won't let it happen.
Because then, like, the title and prestige and everything would line up. Because it is the fanfare. USDGC is a harder major to win.
It's new versus old. It's the new people coming in, like, why is this called the world title? And it's the old people fighting back, like, whoa, blah, 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 blah. Like, it's that same thing. That,
I don't like the stroke advantage, though.
He hates
what you said for that.
Why?
Well, because then it takes away.
I think it takes a little bit of
no, it takes away the whole season. If you don't do the stroke advantage,
it takes a little. It takes away. Like I don't think the World Championship should be an event where, and right now it is, and it's always been that way for a little bit of where like only a select few people can win. I like the idea though of where you're coming into the event and like anything can happen still. It's kind of like March Madness, right?
But then I don't think that should be called World. The whole problem is I love that for majors. But, like, world champion is held at such a level in our sport that a rando shouldn't be able to win it.
I mean, a rando can win. A rando really can win, like, an Olympic gold medal.
Yeah, but that's different.
I feel
and really, no, they can't. Because think of the qualifying process just to make it to the Olympics, and then the qualifying process to make it to the final race, and then you win the final race.
I meant rando as in, like, when you're watching the 100 meters, if someone outside of Usain Bolt or
but that's not
USA,
a rando.
But I'm not a diehard running fan.
But it's
if I'm a diehard running fan, I probably know.
It's not a rando
are.
in the sense that they earned that spot. Whereas in disc golf,
yes, I didn't mean rando as in like someone off the street all of a sudden just entered into the World Championship and won.
But
that's
that could happen right now in disc golf.
That could happen.
That's the whole problem.
I don't think that should happen. A rando could win USDGC. Granted, they qualified for that event. They qualified, but if there are people on that USDGC qualifier right now that if you would have won,
I don't mind that. The only thing I mind is that it's Worlds, the World Championship. It's the highest title in our sport. If we're going to hold something up there.
I think we're agreeing in the sense that there should be something done to make it differ from the other majors. What I'm saying, though, is I don't like the idea of going into the World Championship and someone already has a massive event. Like, literally,
no one would have a massive event. It'd be like FedEx Cup.
Yeah, but like the FedEx Cup, there's only a couple people that can win that tournament.
I like that. They earned their right to win it.
But that shouldn't be world champion, though.
I completely disagree.
The majority of people in golf do not like the FedEx Cup the way it's set up. Like they don't view the FedEx Cup winner, the tour champion, the same way as the other majors.
But
I'm thinking you can't call it the World Championship though. You can't say.
But I'm saying the World Championship should be the thing that
you're saying. The World Championship goes away. And now it's just the Tour Championship. There is no World Championship.
No, because the Tour Championship would need to change.
You want the World Championship to. You want the Tour Champion to be called the World Championship.
He's saying that because you'd earn those. it would be the biggest culmination of who is the best over the season. That's how you get that head start. He's basically just saying that there needs to be a better vetting process for the World Championship. What better process than the course of the whole season?
Yeah.
To then give you your
like
your
only
advantage.
the top 32 players even make it there to the World Championship. It's the biggest honor to play.
So I'm with you there in the sense that like I think an easier way of doing that is literally do like world rankings and like
What world rankings?
Who's
okay.
the Pro Tour standings are the best world rankings there is.
Sure, figure out a good way of doing it. If you don't like the way that it is, and do it, it'd probably be very similar to the tour points, and do top 50, and the top 50 get in, and then boom, you start.
I'd be okay with that.
Everyone fresh slate. See what happens.
That's a compromise. It could just be you got to qualify top 50. That'd be electric.
I don't
top
think
50
a
only
world
awards.
championship makes sense.
Here's the problem though.
Because even
makes a lot of money.
Even in the NFL playoffs, the NBA playoffs, you have people that have an advantage, but you don't have anything where someone has 10 strokes and someone has no strokes. Like someone has a 10-stroke lead on someone. That advantage is way more than a bye in the NBA playoffs. That advantage is way more than home field advantage. So that's why I'm just saying, like, I like it for the tour championship because it makes sense.
Number one player gets to pick the venue.
Yeah, you get to pick the course. That'd be wild. I like it for the tour championship because it's like no one really cares about it that much. But
I don't like the idea that someone who, right, how it sits currently, someone who is having an awful season can get hot. Corey Ellis won the European Open.
Mm-hmm.
He won a major. That's great. I love
Sure.
it. I would not enjoy it if he won a world championship this year. He did not have a good overall season, and then he pops off one weekend as a world champion.
But that's not.
And he might be in the top 50, so it would still work.
That's not disc golf. Disc golf isn't a sport where it's like a season-long thing.
He's talking about one. He's just talking about one title.
They're individual events, though.
Yeah, they are. But I'm saying we're calling someone a world champion.
Yeah.
Champion of the world.
Yeah.
That shouldn't be decided one weekend based on who got hot.
I mean, it is decided. Like that's literally how it's decided in pretty much almost every sport.
No, every other sport's it's series where you have to prove yourself over and over and over and over. You have to qualify for the playoffs. If you're good enough, you get a bye, and then you're playing the worst teams with that bye.
And if you're like in track and field, you're
in the biggest advantage to make sure
finals.
that the best team has the best chance to get there. If you're a 1 seed, you have statistically the best chance to make it to the finals.
Yeah, there's got to be better. There's got to be more qualified.
That doesn't mean they can't be upset.
I mean,
if I'm Calvin
I agree
Heimberg,
with you.
If I'm Calvin Heimberg and I have a 10-stroke lead, the guy, there's 4 rounds of disc golf. The guy who has 10 strokes back isn't out of it.
But what you're saying, there's just a lot of caveats to what you're saying because like in the closest sport to what we have is golf.
And golf doesn't have a world championship.
I agree. Well, they do have WGC, which like is kind
not
of
anymore.
weird.
Isn't it done now?
Are those done now?
I think it's done.
They might be done. But that's not even close to world champion. But yes. No, I'm agreeing. I've always said I thought having a world championship in disc golf doesn't really make sense. I've always said that. If you're I'm under the impression if you really want to do it, it should be like every other year, every 4 years, something like the Olympics, Ryder Cup, something like where it's like, I don't know, whatever.
And every 4-year major would be sick.
But what I'm saying is like you still, yes, there are qualifications that you have to do, but there still are people that in track and field, there still are people in golf that have done something in their career that give them the ability to just bypass all those qualifications, right? If you win a Masters, you are qualified for the rest of the Masters. So you could win a Masters and not play golf for 10 years and then show up.
I'm fine with that. Like
play.
USDGC, that's how it is. That's great.
I see what you're saying with like
had to get there the first time,
and that's where it's like for me, I would love to have a top. I think that's what would stand the world championship out different than everything else. Is like the top 50 in the world get to play the world championship, and then that's it.
I'd be okay with that.
Yeah, I mean, in the current scope, you have enough touring players that
exclusive. That would be super. Like those are also the people that people care about.
Yeah.
Even though
to be clear, that'd be a lot better than what is currently happening.
Yeah, even though apparently the top 32 was not good because no one showed up to that event. So I don't know. Maybe there are people outside the top 50 that people want.
Because everybody traveled to USDGC.
No, I still think the problem with that is they made it 2 miles away from USDGC.
I know, but that's not what people were telling me, which is crazy. People were telling me they weren't going to the event because their favorite player wasn't there, which is wild.
Which is whomst?
I don't know.
Robert
That's what I'm
Burridge?
saying. The top 32 were there.
Love you, Robert.
Those are all the big names in disc golf. So I don't know what those people are saying.
Well, I mean, you're talking to your fan base. The people could just be saying you.
No, I'm not talking to my fan base. This is me looking at what other people are saying on other boards, on Reddit,
Paul
on Twitter,
wasn't there.
on
I'm gonna say you and
Facebook.
Paul were probably the big big
Paul
two
wasn't
that
there.
weren't there.
I don't know. I don't.
But to me, I think if you put the Pro Tour Championship in Georgia or somewhere where it still made sense for someone to drive, or Virginia, but it's where there wasn't a major disc golf event the weekend before, it's much more well attended, regardless of who's there.
Right.
Assuming the top people are there, then it's much more well attended. The problem was,
Well, for example, if
I
you
am choosing which weekend I'm driving 3.5 hours. I'm choosing USDGC.
Yeah.
No doubt in my mind.
Right.
Because on the final day, I'm going to have one card to watch in the Tour Championship, basically.
Electric idea. Top 10 in the world. You start on hole 1.
Mob golf.
Elimination.
Elimination golf.
Yeah, you bogey, you're out.
If a couple people
Worst
birdie
worst
and
out.
everyone else pars, they're all out.
Imagine
go
showing
to
up for
hole
a
2.
tournament, you make it one hole. But you're gone. You
Like a
just flew out
playoff, like
there.
you go to an island.
But for showing up, you get $3,000. So you just get $3,000 to play one whole golf.
There you go. It's
Something
not bad,
about.
not a bad deal.
All right, this next question comes from Disc Golf Lists. He says, all right, you gotta buckle up for all of this. You gotta follow it. Who is Batman's greatest rival? The Joker. What would the Joker be without Batman? Just a dog chasing cars, ripping off mob dealers. The Joker says, you complete me. The Joker finds purpose in his relationship with Batman. What if Katrina Allen is the Joker to Paige's Batman? Could this be the reason for such a sudden and immediate decline and fall from relevancy? She simply needs her rival. Sure, Tatar is amazing, but she's not Katrina's rival. That will always be Paige. She's the Phil Mickelson to Tiger Woods, the Larry Bird to Magic Johnson, the Peyton Manning to Tom Brady, the Frazier to Ali. I predict that when Paige is back,
Wait a
Katrina will be
second.
back.
When did Cat? Wait a second. They might be onto something.
Cat fell apart post-Europe. Paige broke her foot in Europe.
We never thought about this.
She needs Paige to
She
survive.
needs Paige.
She has
I
to
asked
have,
her once, and she said they're not rivals.
She has to have Paige to drive her to. That's her
I
competitive
gotta-
advantage.
I bet Kat would love that take more than anything, hearing us be over here like she can't win unless Paige is out there.
I gotta look up her.
Well, she
I
won
gotta
the
look up her
preserve, and I think
schedule.
Paige was already out at the preserve.
I gotta look up her. I gotta look up her season just to make sure that we're
she-
not.
But maybe she
saying
thought Paige
something.
was there at the preserve.
Yeah, just
Maybe she wasn't aware.
She won, and then she was like, "Oh, I forgot Paige wasn't here. Dang it!"
Yeah, maybe she wasn't
She
aware.
looked
yet.
out into the crowd, and she was like, "That was like the
Where's-
final straw." She was like, "Oh, this isn't worth it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
this
she
is
Who am I
was like, take that.
Who am I gonna flex
Who
this
do I
giant bear
flex
in
this
front
bear
of?"
in front of?
Yeah. Dang,
so
that's
funny.
actually a very funny point. Who wrote that down?
Disc Golf Lists.
Disc golf list. That's funny because that is like really interesting that did kind of happen at the same time.
Yeah,
think,
looking at her season,
Post
she got 10th out. These are like her worst finishes at the beginning of the
You said
season.
like I have to like rewrite my brain that like anything outside of 10th is awful in FPO.
Yes.
Okay.
10th at Waco, 18th at Music City.
Oh, this is pre-page.
Yes. 11th at Jonesboro, 11th at OTB, 22nd at Beaver State.
That's a silver, wasn't it?
Yes.
We called it a must-win,
Ooh.
if I remember correctly.
And then she got 5th at DDO,
Here we go.
1st at Preserve.
Yeah.
Then she went over to Europe.
Oh,
Oh!
preserve was pre-Europe.
Oh my
got
gosh,
third.
This is true.
Got 3rd at the European Open.
That was the event right after Paige hurt herself.
And then came back and got 24th, 33rd, 28th,
I'm back to thinking something
24th.
happened in Europe.
30th,
She drank some bad water.
38th.
Someone
20th.
hired a witch
Bro.
to put a curse on her.
That's crazy.
Her
Something happened in Europe.
Her best finish
Paige
after
got
Europe
hurt.
was top 20.
Yeah.
Was 20th.
That's that's crazy.
That is a crazy.
Something happened in Europe. She ate some bad clams,
Pickled fish.
pickled fish.
'Cause I was also thinking like, did the fields get way better?
Is
after
Harry
Europe?
Potter
No,
Harry
I
Potter
don't think
European?
so.
Yeah, he's from England.
Vada Kedavra or something, bro.
Yeah. Big Hunt with the spells.
Yeah. Freaking noseless guy came out there, Voldemort.
Yeah. Ooh, don't say that. Shh.
Oh yeah, his name can't be mentioned.
He whose name might not be mentioned. I want to hear Hunter like mess up all the Harry Potter quotes.
Harry Potter.
All right, well there you
Yeah,
have. That
that's
was
one.
the last topic. We got one more story.
Dobby.
We got one more story to finish this thing out. This is
Brady's
from
a Harry
Blaine.
I
Potter
think everyone
expert.
can do Dobby. I think that's.
I don't know what it is.
Impersonation can everyone.
The
can
house
do.
elf, like the little elf
I think
guy.
it's the easiest impersonation.
I don't know what he sounds like, so I can't do it.
Literally exactly what I just said.
Oh, okay.
That was perfect.
Blaine
Try it,
Gibson.
Hunter. Try it, Hunter.
Goal.
Hunter, try it, Hunter.
I think Golem is also really easy to do. Goal.
My precious.
Yeah.
My precious.
No.
Nope. No.
All right, man. Golem's hard.
Somebody's grandma.
I think
Okay.
Golem's hard.
My precious.
My precious.
My precious.
Hey, precious, come here. Give me a kiss, sugar. Blaine Gibson.
Sounds like that one.
I was playing a tournament in
Blaine?
2 holes. Blaine Gibson.
Oh, okay.
I was playing a tournament. 2 holes had fairways right by each other. Hole 5 is a tight tunnel hole, maybe 60 feet through the tunnel before it opens up in a field, and to the left of the gap was basket for hole 9. My card was putting on hole 9 when a disc from hole 5 came flying through the hole and hyzered right at a guy on my card and hit him square in the face.
Oof.
Gave him a cut right under the eye and swelled up a little bit.
Been there.
He then went on to birdie the entire back 9.
Oh,
He was 3 over
heck
before
yeah.
the hit and finished the round 6 under, leading the tournament after round 1. He said it helped
Heck
him.
yeah.
He said it helped him wake up, and he wished it had happened sooner.
Oh, he left the
adrenaline.
tournament though.
This is.
I don't think he DNF'd. I
This
don't know
is-
if he won. I don't know the finish.
This
of
is
that,
a
but-
big John Henderson. So Big John Henderson, number 99, one of the best defensive tackles of all time, Jacksonville Jaguars. He would before the game.
What a
he would
niche.
he would have. He was 6'7".
Yeah,
I want to say
he
like
was huge.
325
I think he might have been
pounds.
6'8". He was huge.
He would have one of the trainers who is probably like your
Slap him in
guys'
the
size,
face.
but looks like a little person because of the size difference. Slap the crap out of him right before the game.
hard as he
Like,
could.
literally just.
It's very funny.
Heck
That's this guy.
yeah.
This
He
guy
that.
needs someone
He'd be
just
like,
to
"Come on, man, hit me
slap the
harder."
crap
You know what
out of
I
him.
found
I played
out?
one of the best rounds of my life after I smashed my thumb on a tree trying to throw an overhand.
You know what I found out on Instagram the other day?
It's true.
Shaquille O'Neal at one point in his career was playing basketball at 415 pounds.
Yeah, I saw
And,
that
like, the
same
peak of his
TikTok
career.
where he's like, I came into the league at like 225, and then he was like,
I think it was 280.
or 285,
Yeah.
and then he was like, and then I was 315, and then I was 345.
And it was like muscle. Like
and then he was like,
the big D's.
and then I won 375 after we won our second championship in LA.
And he's like, man, I won a third championship. I was 415 or something like that.
Well,
It's crazy.
Oh my
he didn't
gosh.
look that big because of just how
He's so tall.
I would say he
massive
probably
is.
weighs 450 right now, but
Yeah.
he's just that tall.
Because then he said he went to
It's
Miami.
like Brodie last year weighed like 265, and
Yeah.
he didn't look like
Miami,
he was giant.
when he
Oh,
went
I
to
can put- I
Miami,
can put on the weight.
when he went to Miami, they like put him through basically boot camp and got him down to like 315 or something before his next season.
Yeah,
Like he lost
it's
100
insane.
pounds.
Because like I
straight.
mean, at 5'11", like
415 pounds, you're a bowling ball at 5'11.
yeah, I was gonna say if we got up to Brodie's weight at like 260,
Oh,
we
you
would
guys
be
would look huge.
big.
When I looked like I never looked big, but when I was at my biggest, I was like 225, and like I see pictures of myself and I look big. I had
You're
40
a
more
heck
pounds
of
to
a lot
go.
bigger than you are now.
Yeah,
I
well-
saw a picture. I saw a picture or a video of when we were playing basketball for that video. Like, what was that last
You guys
year?
got
No, that
shellacked.
was like 2 years ago.
2 years ago? Yeah,
No,
and
it was
I say
last
you.
January.
You've
You
lost
guys
a lot of
got
weight since then. Even
shellacked.
You want to know the crazy thing?
You did get
I
shellacked.
even videos on the West Coast tour, I can see a huge difference in your face.
I'm running a heck of a lot
yeah, I
more.
say Hunt's been
No, but I can see like
Hunt's been
that was
thinning out
not
lately.
long ago, and I
Yeah.
can see a huge difference.
for sure.
Hunter, this
I'm on
is
my
all-
track to get to Eric
We're all.
Oakley.
This is all just
Dude, Eric
secret
Oakley,
planned.
you guys are
We're all
crazy,
so
dude.
proud of you.
This is actually a surprise party.
This is a surprise podcast.
Knock down the wall.
Do we have pizza?
No,
No, you
we're
can't
just
have
gonna
that
talk
anymore.
about
That's
how
true. Last
good
time I
you
had
look.
pizza, I puked.
Hunter is like the.
I still don't know what the frick happened.
Hunter's kind of the poster child for those diets where he's like,
I eat whatever I
I can
want.
eat whatever I want. I just run like 6 miles a day.
That literally, it's just calories in versus calories out. Everyone tries.
Come on,
to,
guys.
Everyone tries
Yeah.
to make it seem like this incredible puzzle and
For
I have
weight.
to do
Just be clear.
Yeah,
just
for weight.
for weight.
Yes. Not your overall health,
Just
but yes,
not-
for weight.
Yeah, it's
Calories
also
in, calories
not
out.
not for.
If you're in a calorie deficit, you will lose weight.
Yeah, also not for like muscle, like
Yeah.
percent body fat and stuff
If
like
I'm
that.
just eating Tootsie Rolls.
Well, this is what I discovered is
Yeah, because I've been eating like crap lately, but I just haven't been eating a lot, and so I've just kind
you
of been
just
hovering.
you have to figure out what food group you love the most,
And
and
just
then
die on
change what workout you want to do based on what your body needs from that food group. I'm a carb guy, so I run.
So he runs because you need carbs.
'Cause then-
I'm a carb guy
one
too.
of the greatest, one of the like greatest ultra runners of all time. Her name's Courtney DeWalter. She still runs like
DeWalt, she
she's
owns
crazy.
DeWalt.
Favorite pre-run meal? Pizza.
wow.
Need I say more?
It's
Pre-run?
You need
Well,
not.
like night before carb
Okay,
load.
Yeah,
Night
carb
before
load.
carb load.
fettuccine.
She's like,
Well, she's also
What's your
running.
favorite?
She's also running 100-mile races.
What's your
so
favorite
like
carb load
mid-race,
meal?
those
yeah,
people.
what's
are-
your
Pizza.
go-to?
I normally go large mac and cheese from Panera Bread.
Oh.
Yeah.
How about that, Konner?
I
Large
would
mac and
just
cheese.
assume that yours pizza is your favorite food.
Well, I eat pizza all the time, but like
Okay.
both my half marathons went to Panera Bread, got a large mac and cheese, and then the bread on the side.
I'm starting to think
Heck
you might not be
yeah,
a
huh?
carb guy. You might be a cheese guy.
No, he's a carb
No,
guy.
I'm a carb guy.
He's a carb guy.
I can go to Panera Bread and get like
He gets,
a
like,
bread
baked-
bowl with
yeah.
tomato soup, and I'll eat the entire bread.
What restaurant has the best bread?
Best bread.
Olive Garden's up there.
No, Texas Roadhouse.
Try
How
again.
dare y'all? First off, you
Texas
can't
Roadhouse.
instantly
Texas
say
Roadhouse.
no.
Try it. No,
I
it
can't-
was a pretty instant no.
I haven't
Wait,
been able
was
to
it
eat
Texas
red
Roadhouse?
meat. I haven't
Is
been able
that
to eat
right?
red
Okay.
meat for 6 years.
What?
I haven't been able to eat red meat for 6 years.
Yeah.
So my restaurants I'm choosing bread from are pretty small.
I don't
There's-
see
Like,
it.
what the frick am I going to?
They have mac and cheese.
Yeah, pretty good.
They have
man.
sweet
They
potato.
have chicken tenders.
What am I gonna get?
They have chicken
Well,
tenders.
like I'm not going to Texas
Let
Roadhouse.
me
with
put
chicken
you out.
tenders.
Let me.
Hunter, you go to a lot of places to get chicken tenders.
Well, most of the
Texas
places are
Roadhouse
like,
wouldn't be that crazy.
Most of those
Yeah.
places are like, my wife wants to go to a restaurant. I'm like, sick. Where's your kids menu?
I've never been, but I've heard Red Lobster also has really good.
They do
Oh, the
cheesy
cheddar
bread.
biscuits.
You've
You've
never
never
had
had
cheddar
them?
biscuit?
Oh my gosh!
If you get
can-
the box of them, it's
yeah, the
almost-
Yeah, you
box
can make
mix
them at
they
home,
sell,
yeah.
it's literally like the same thing, and they're awesome.
They are
You
great.
put cheese in the bread.
Never had them, but I heard.
It's just
I've
cheese
heard
on
good
bread, baby.
It's
Just
so
cheese on
good.
bread.
Those-
All right, well, that's
those are
going to wrap
awesome.
up the off-season podcast.
Cheese
Hopefully
bread.
you enjoyed.
I feel like we did like 3 different podcasts on that podcast.
Yeah, I don't know what just happened.
It went from
Submit-
debate night to grip lock to banter.
Submit topics if you want to control the show and control what you hear. You submit it in the description down below, and we'll be back next week with another episode.